This is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make the Honeycomb double wrapped loom bracelet kits by Beadaholique. So these are our 6 beautiful varieties of these kits, and we have some lovely golds and green. We have a really nice purple and pink. And this one over here, it's a little nautical inspired, so we have that white and gold and navy. We also have some fun coral and aqua, a classic black and gold, and then a lovely purple and aqua here. So really fun, beautiful kits. And these today are going to be using the Rapid Loom Professional Series Duo. And I'm going to be taking this out, of course, and showing you how to assemble that together. But just in case you have purchased another kit from us, just make sure that you have that Professional Series Duo to make these kits. Now we do sell these as full kits, which will give you all the components and the Rapid Loom, but if you've already got your Rapid Loom ready to go from a previous kit, you can purchase the refill kits, and the refills will provide you with all of the components to make this, minus the loom and the glue. So you should have that already set to go, so especially once you've made one and you want to make more, you don't have to keep buying the full loom. We offer the refill kits. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what you're going to get in your kit, and then we're going to get started. So in your kit, you're going to get your round leather cord, your 2-hole honeycomb beads, you're going to get a button closure, you're going to get 2 packages of the griffin silk, and you're also going to get your 8/0 round seed beads. You'll also receive your E6000 glue, but you'll need to provide maybe a couple of toothpicks or even a scrap of wire will work just fine. And then you're going to need some scissors or snips. And the other thing that you're going to get if you purchase a full kit versus a refill, so this is what you'll get in the refill. If you get the full kit, you'll get the Rapid Loom Professional Series Duo. Now this is a little bit different than the initial Rapid Loom because it comes with 2 tracks, which will allow you to make the double length to get that double wrap. All right, so let's start by kind of just assembling our Rapid Loom here. So like I said, we have 2 tracks. And then we have 2 of our end pieces here, and we have 2 feet. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put my 2 tracks together. So you can see that there's a male and a female end here, so we're just going to put that together and just kind of slide it down, and it'll kind of snap into place, just like so. And then on the front end here, you're going to take your front piece, and this has your little clamp, and you can see that there's a nice little sort of rubber band there. So if yours has fallen out in the packaging, just go ahead and place that back on there. All right, so this will just slide right on top there and just sit nicely onto the front. And then onto the back is where we're going to add on our little slider piece. And this just slides on and should move freely about the back part of your loom. Now to give it some nice stabilization, I like to go 3 notches in for my first foot and just snap that in there, and 3 notches in on my back foot. And again, that just sort of sits nice and easy. So there's no tools required to put together your loom, but this is the starting position for your Professional Series Duo Rapid Loom. All right, so let's go ahead and let me get some things out of the way here. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the sizing of this. So you're going to get 2 yards of your cord. Now, to get a 7.5 or a 7-inch bracelet, you're going to want about 15 inches. But just to err on the side of safety, go ahead and line those 2 ends up here at the very back. Okay? And now we're going to take our little button shank and slide it onto 1/2 of that, and then slide it all the way down, and we're going to find the center point of our 2 yards here. So just like so. There we go. So now what we're going to do is just take those 2 cords and make an overhand knot and just pull it through and pull all those cords through. And now we're just going to want to scoot our knot and make it close as we can to the edge of our button shank there. So go ahead and just keep kind of working that down there. Sometimes you might need to sort of just adjust it a little bit. There we go. All right. So that is our first little knot there, right after the button shank. All right, so now I'm going to take my ruler here, get my loom out of the way for a moment, And I'm gonna go from that first knot to where I want that second knot to be, which will be about 15 inches. And this will give you, like I said, that 7-inch bracelet. I'm gonna talk a little bit more at the end about how you can sort of adjust that length. Now you can already see that I have a lot of extra cord, so you can actually make this a much longer bracelet if you wanted to. But I'm going to show you a quick little tip later on how to make sure that you can actually extend this without even actually adding beadwork. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is it's 15 inches from knot to knot. But what I want to do now is kind of judge the distance of my button because I want it to fit through my leather cord. So it's about, let's say, about 3/4 of an inch for this particular button. Some of the buttons do vary, so be sure to just check yours. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create another little knot because this is where our button is going to sit. And get both ends through there. And now I'm just going to try to work that knot right to that same spot. You can kind of see that you can adjust a little bit. The leather is pretty supple. So let's see. And that should fit very nicely. All right, so let me just go ahead and tighten my knot up there. And that is our starting position. So we folded it in half, slid on our button, added a knot, went 15 inches, added another knot, and then left room for our button to fit through. And you can also see that I have almost 16 or so inches of each cord on the other side here. So now the next thing is we're gonna set up our loom. So I'm going to move to the front part here with the little sort of duckbill clasp. And we're going to take our button and we're going to slide it into our little clasp there, leaving the knot on the outside, just like so. Okay? Because we're going to be working with our cords like this. And then just to move to the other side, I know this is really long on my table, but what you're going to do, and actually I'm going to turn this around so you can kind of see it. There's a little slide notch here, right in the center there, and that's where you're going to put the distance between your two knots. So right in there, you just slide it in. This one you don't have to open or clamp or anything, but this is, it does allow you to kind of pull tension. So when you're ready to start, you're just going to pull this piece back, and it's going to create a nice tension for your loom. And I want to make sure my button is nice and secure and in the center there. All right, so I'm going to kick that back for a second and just let that relax while I get my other pieces ready here. All right, so you're going to get your 2 cards of your griffin silk here, and you can see that it has a little needle attached to it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this off of the cards. And I'm just kind of stretching it a little bit with my hands. Don't worry if it's really kinked, it'll kind of work itself out as we wrap it. All right, and then I'm just going to do that with my second one here. And this griffin silk is really wonderful to work with. It's a nice, strong material. All right, so let's get this off my cord, off my card, my cord off my card. There we go. All right, so I have my 2 cords ready to go. So I'm going to go to the ends without the needles attached. So it should look like this. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a simple overhand knot there. And then we're going to do another overhand knot and kind of bring those together. You should have maybe about 1 inch or 2 at the edge here. You don't want too much, but you want to have enough that you can kind of add another little knot just to secure it. Now don't worry too much about kind of pulling this too tight. We're going to add a little spot of glue to it as we finish up at the end. So we just want a nice secure knot. All right, so now we're going to go to our loom here. And like I said, we're going to kick it back. And I'm going to kind of move this down on my table so that you guys can see. So we're starting at the end that has the button at the top there. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to kind of separate these so you can see. But what we're going to do is we're going to take that knot and kind of place it right in the center there. So I'm going to get my cords on either side. All right. So I have one cord coming out this way, the other cord is coming out this way. So my knot sits right in the center there. So what I'm going to do is just kind of hold that knot with my thumb, and I'm going to wrap this cord around the right side of the leather. And I'm going to take this cord and I'm going to wrap it down and through and around this side of the leather, and just kind of pull it all the way through. So you can see, let me just kind of get my tails out of the way, what it should look like there. We've just gone up and around, and we've wrapped once and then wrapped once on the other side. All right, so now what I'm going to do is just kind of scooch this up a little bit, and I'm going to take these two cords here, again getting that little tail out of the way, and I'm going to make a simple overhand knot, keeping those cords on the right sides that they are already on, so you don't want to do a crossover here. And now I'm just going to take that little knot and tie it down. And then I'm just going to kind of scooch it up because I want to kind of hide that underneath the other knot there so that I don't have too much going on. All right, so there we go. Just securing my knots, making sure they're still centered there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that right hand cord and I'm going to go down through the center and out and around. And I'm going to take that left hand cord, I'm going to go down through the center and up and out and around. All right, so now we're ready to start in with our seed beads here. There we go. All right, so onto my right hand needle here, I'm going to put on one seed bead. Oops, there we go. All right, and then I'm going to slide it all the way down, and now I'm crisscrossing over. You can see I just kind of have that little seed bead in my finger there. I'm crisscrossing it over to the left, and I'm going to take the left hand cord needle, go through going the opposite direction, and now I'm going to pull that left cord all the way over to the right. So we're creating this little crisscross motion here. And now when I pull it down, that bead is going to sit right in the center there. And for this first one, I'm going to just kind of adjust it with my fingers a little bit and make sure that he is nice and happy, just kind of sitting there. There we go. All right, so now same thing. I'm going to take this cord down and around and out, and this cord down and around and out. So you'll be crisscrossing your threads the whole time, so you don't need to keep track of what was on the right or the left. All right, so now we're going to repeat that again, but this time, because we're building up to a wider base, we're going to put on 2 seed beads to that cord. And again, just crisscrossing it all the way over here. And then on your other needle, go back through both of those seed beads, and we're going to crisscross that over to the right. Now, it doesn't matter if you go right or left first, as long as you're kind of getting that crisscross motion. All right, and again, just kind of making sure that they're nice and snug up there at the top. And you can see that it's already starting to open up our little loom here. All right, so down and around and out to the right, down and around and out to the left. And you probably guessed it, we're gonna do 3 seed beads now because we want to build up to having our honeycomb bead in there. All right, so 1, 2, 3 seed beads, crisscrossing over. Oops, making sure to not get your little guy in a knot here. Griffin silk is very forgiving, so sometimes it will kind of get in a knot because it's a little kinked, but you should be okay. There we go. Easy, easy. All right, and taking that other needle, going through all 3 of those seed beads there, and crisscrossing to the other side. And pulling down, giving it a nice little tug. We want to keep good tension. So now we have 1, 2, and 3. So again, we're going to go down and around, and I'm going to actually do this in one step, just kind of taking my thumbs and going out. So as you get a little bit more versed in this, you can go a little faster. So now the next part is I'm going to actually take off my honeycomb beads from their strand here. And the next part here, so what we're going to do is we're going to pick up 1 seed bead and 1 honeycomb bead. You're going to go through only 1 hole, and then we're going to pick up another seed bead, just like so. So then I'm going to scoot that all the way down here, And then just the same as we did before, you're just going to go through the one seed bead, through the honeycomb bead, and through the other seed bead. This might take a little bit, but you want to make sure you hit all three and then crisscross it over to the other side. There we go. All right, so now you'll see that this will kind of pop up and it'll be a little bit wider than our 3 beads there. But we have our first little set of our honeycomb beads. There we go. So now, just the same, we're going to go down and around and making sure they come out the opposite sides here. So here's where it gets a little bit different. What you're going to do is you're going to pick up one seed bead here, and then you're going to carefully go through that honeycomb bead there, and then kind of holding your needle there, you're going to slide on another seed bead. And now go ahead and pull that one all the way through. And now we're going to take our other cord and we're going to go through the seed bead, the honeycomb bead, and the other seed bead, and out the other side, making sure, there we go, that you're coming out on top of the other leather piece. Don't go down and through. Make sure you're going up and over. And we're going to pull that. It's a lot of cord in the beginning here, but once you get a little further down, it gets a little easier. All right, so that is our first little honeycomb there. So what we're going to do is then just go down and around and out to the side. So now all you have to do is just repeat using the honeycomb 2-hole bead technique. So you're going to go through that first one there and then come back through and pick up one seed bead, go through the other hole and through the other seed bead. So let me see if I can show you that really, really quick one more time. So one seed bead here, one honeycomb, and one seed bead. And again, these are really fun kits. Once you kind of get into it, they're really, really zen, and you can, you know, choose the full kit and then get other refills so that you don't have to have more of the tool, the loom, if you don't want to. If you already have one, then, you know, our refills are a great opportunity to kind of do that as well. All right, so there we go. So now just pull that. And this is where you can kind of adjust your little cords on the side. You'll want to kind of play with it a little bit because you'll notice that because there's a bigger space here, you'll see that blue cord a little bit stronger. So just kind of adjust as you go slow. This is, again, it's a really fun little technique. And we do have other wrap it kits as well. So they're a lot of fun to work with. But again, just keep in mind that if you have the professional series, the duo, you can do this kit, but if you have one of the regular kits, you will need to get the duo so that you have the extra track. All right, so picking up one seed bead, going through the honeycomb, grabbing the other seed bead, going all the way through there. And then I have my needle from the other side here, going through that seed bead, through that honeycomb, and through the other seed bead. There you go. This is where sometimes it can be tricky. Oh, and I didn't get that last seed bead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of come out here so that I get a better grip on him. There we go. And pull through. There we go. All right. So now I'm just going to pull that all the way through to the other side. Okay. So now, again, I just want to kind of take a moment to just adjust my threads. Pull tight, give it a little tug, and wrap out and around, and I'm ready to continue. So what you're going to do is you're going to continue for the length of your bracelet, but I want to kind of draw your attention down here to the bottom. So when you have about an inch or so left, what you're going to want to do is stop at that point and kick your little guy back here and let this leather relax because you've put a lot of tension on it, so it will adjust how many beads you'll have here at the end. But let me get to that point there and then come back and I'll finish the video with you and show you how to finish it off and some more information about sizing techniques. All right, so you can see that I have woven almost the full length of my bracelet here. And we've come down to the end, and what I've done is I've kicked back this little back end here so that we have a little slack. So he's been sort of relaxing for a little while here. So now what I'm going to do is you can see that I have about an inch to finish off here at the end. So I'm just going to click my loom back into the tension here. There we go. And I've already gone down and through and around. And this is the point where you want to kind of take a look and see, can I fit another 2-hole bead, the honeycomb there, before I taper it down? And for my purposes, I absolutely think I can. So in case you want to just see it one more time here, and just to kind of draw your attention over here to my little bead pile, this is how many beads I have left. And like I was saying, that I am making about a 7.5 inch bracelet. And you'll actually have more beads left over. So if you're worried about that from the beginning, go ahead and, just kind of take a look there and you'll see that you actually have more beads than what you think. I'm also going to show you how to extend it by using the extra leather that you're going to have at the end of your bracelet as well. So we're just going to kind of pull that down. And as we get down towards the end here, I'm going to need to kind of do one at a time and just take a needle through, because we're getting down to the end of our griffin silk here, but you'll still again have enough to complete a few more rows with the beads. So if you needed to add more beads, you can do so. And also if you needed to kind of readjust the leather, you could very carefully take it off the loom here at the end, at the back here, undo that knot and move it. I don't recommend it, but if you needed to, you can absolutely do that. Just be very careful because all your beads on here are not fully secure until we've sort of ended it off and finished it off with some glue. All right, so now we are getting close to the end. So we're going to do exactly the same tapering move that we did at the very beginning, but we are going to start with 3 seed beads on one needle here. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Bring that down, crisscross, going through all 3. And again, we're going to take our needles and go down through the center. This is why I recommend doing one at a time. You'll get them kind of crisscrossed. All right, there we go. And now onto one needle, we're going to put 2 seed beads. Crisscross. You can see that it's much faster when you have a lot less of that griffin silk happening. All right, and then let's just do one more time, and you guessed it, we're going to add 1 seed bead. There we go. Crisscross that and bring that down. So see how that tapered really nicely for me? Very nice. All right, so now we have a little tiny triangle gap there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to loop it around as though we were adding another bead one more time. And now with these 2 ends, we're just going to tie a nice overhand knot. And then I'm actually going to go down and through that little hole again and out, down through, and out, and now we're going to tie a little double knot, just because we really want our work to be nice and secure. And for added security, we're going to add a little tiny dab of our E6000 glue. All right, give it a nice little tug. Make sure that little knot kind of fits in there so it looks really nice and clean and part of the design. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our E6000 here, go ahead and unscrew that cap. And yours is going to have a seal on it, so you're just going to take the edge of the cap and just sort of puncture that. And then we're going to pour some of our E6000 onto our little sticky there. Close that up, we don't want it to dry. And then we're just going to take a little bit of E6000 onto our toothpick, and by a little bit I mean a little tiny bit, and we're just going to add it to that knot there. And you can go ahead and kind of be liberal with it. You just kind of want to get it all into the knot. There we go. And then I'm going to move my loom here so that you guys can see. I'm going to do it on the first side as well, where we had our first knot. And we're going to add a nice little dab of E6000 there. So this top part of the bracelet that you're seeing that you've done your weaving on, this is actually going to become the underside of the bracelet, the side that will face your skin. So don't worry too much. And what's really nice about the E6000 is it's clear, so you really won't notice it too much. All right, so now we're going to let this dry. And I'm going to let it dry in the full position here. You can also take the slack down. It's entirely your choice. But we're going to let this dry for at least, I would say, 20 minutes before moving on. But make sure that you kind of let it dry at least overnight before wearing it, because you're going to put a little bit of tension on these knots. So we don't want to have our work lost. So I'm just going to let it dry there. And I'll be back in a little while and I will show you how to take it off the loom and how to do one last little sizing thing on the end here. All right, so I've let my glue dry. So the next step is I'm going to take my snips. You can also use just scissors for this, but I'm just going to snip off the ends of those little tips there. And I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. And I'm going to move to the front. And I'm going to do the same up here and just sort of take that off the front. There we go. All right, so now I'm just going to go ahead and slide it out of my loom here and go ahead and clip it out there. All right, I'm going to set my loom aside. All right, so now we have our big, beautiful wrap bracelet, and I just love how gorgeous this looks. This is one of my favorite techniques to use the wrap it looms. It's just, the result is just really, really lovely and very professional, so I love using this. So what I'm going to say is, if you wanted to, you could just leave this one notch for your button there. But if you wanted to extend it further, you do have all of this extra leather, so you can create another button notch, and that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do here. So it's the same, you just kind of gauge and measure how long that button is, and then just tie that overhand knot there, and then kind of scooch it to where you think it needs to be, kind of judge it, and then we're just going to tighten that up. There we go. It looks like our button's going to fit very nicely through that nice open hole there. All right, so now I'm just going to tighten that up, and then I'm going to take my snips or scissors and cut about 1/2 inch to 1 inch further down the line there, and set that aside, wrap it up, and we are all finished. It's a nice little kit. Again, we do sell these in full kits and refills, so if you're interested and you just love the result, be sure to pick up the other color variations as well that you saw in the beginning of this video. But that is how to make the Honeycomb double wrapped loom bracelet kits by Beadaholique. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button below, and of course you can get all of these supplies and even more at beadaholique.com.